and welcome back to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
And this is part 2 of our Harry and Meghan interview with Oprah, which aired on CBS on Sunday
night,
and ITV on Monday night. So, there's still a lot to get through.
Yeah, we're just going to pick up where we left off.
We're going to pick up where we left off after the break. Harry turned up.
We're assuming you listened to our part 1. So,
So
you've caught,
you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Harry's turned up now into the interview because the first part was just Meghan, you know.
Yeah. And everybody on Twitter was like,
"Where's Harry?
Isn't Harry supposed to be part of this interview?"
But I guess, it was just like, they'll roll him out after a while, he'll come out and he'll
to me tell. That kind of said this was her show.
I bet
to it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Meghan was just like, you know what? We should get interviewed by Oprah Winfrey for our the restoration of our reputation. I was just like, I was just lying in the bath here going, "Yes, Oprah, yes." That is what happened.
Oh no.
But anyway, Harry rolls up.
Yes.
And he says, "They bloody chucked me out, didn't they?"
God, yeah, he sounded just like that as well.
No, he said when they got to Canada, they moved, they did the whole thing. And they did this process of leaving and everything, and they went to Canada. And then for the first quarter of 2020, it was announced that they were going to cut off their security because you're not doing the job anymore, so the security comes with the job. Yeah. And that was a bone of contention between them because they were like, "Oh, there's not going to be any security for Archie, and
there's a lot of death threats,
threats and everything, and people don't like me, and you're not going to provide for the Queen's grandson,
Yeah, which on Twitter,
great grandson.
Which on Twitter here in America, when we watched it live, we were following along the hashtag on Twitter, and everybody, pretty much every tweet was completely disgusted. How could they pull away security? That's their own flesh and blood, and these are their grandson and great grandson, and how dare they? And it was just because they didn't like her, and it was just a race thing, and da 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 da. Cut to Twitter when Britain is watching it had a little bit more
of a pro-royal spin.
A difference of opinion, which I figured I could see that coming. Because if you know about the royal family, the British taxpayers fund their lives.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So, and that includes their security.
I mean, it's not much to the individual, but it adds up,
Yeah, well, right. But I'm assuming, and I don't know, you guys, I'm not an expert on this by any means, but I'm assuming that includes security, right?
Yeah.
So why, if they are not living in Britain and they are now saying we're not going to be doing all the work that we used to be doing, we'll still be over here in Canada whenever you need us.
They moved to Canada, and they still continue to have protection, and the government were talking to Trudeau about them.
But they basically said
to the Canadian government,
we'll be over here if you need us.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
Yeah, they were stepping back, not stepping down.
Yeah, we'll be over here if you need us, but we're not gonna be doing the same kind of thing every day. Why would the British taxpayer want to continue to pay for their security over there? I understand that they had threats against them, and that's terrible. But I mean, unfortunately, what celebrity doesn't have some threats against them?
Well, the whole thing, right? It's nullified by the fact that Harry says that he had to cut deals with Netflix and Spotify. That wasn't part of the plan initially.
Yeah.
But I had to make sure that we were okay.
And
he was dossing. They were dossing in Tyler Perry's house. Apparently,
dossing.
He was on the couch and he was like, Just a couple more weeks, all right, Tyler? And Tyler's like, it's okay, mate. You stay as long as you need.
Explain what dossing is to Americans listening, please.
Basically, they were sleeping on the couch. they revealed that. They said, oh, because he was financially cut off too. They froze the bank and everything. They said, nah, you're not getting any more money.
Yeah.
Credit cards declined. They don't work now that you're moving to the States, because they were moving to California.
Mm-hmm. And they took it as like an insult, and this is against us, and da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, no, if we continue to do that, the British public is going to be pissed at us.
Yeah, because it's like there's more scrutiny.
And they were, because I remember angry tweets from British taxpayers who were pissed off when they announced, oh, we're going to move to Canada, because they had just done up Frogmore Cottage on the British pound.
They paid it back,
on the British
though,
taxpayer pound.
and
Yeah, that's
apparently
true.
through the Netflix deals and everything, they paid all that back, and they said, "Oh, we're going to pay that back. We're going to do it right." And
but before they paid it back, they had just spent all this money doing up this cottage,
and then they buggered off.
and then they left. So the British public was pissed off. Now, the royal family, we got to quit saying the royal family, because it's not them. It's not the Queen. It's not Charles.
The palace.
Yeah.
The palace.
The institution.
Yeah. The firm.
Which is much older than this current royal family.
Yes.
They were like, we cannot do this because the public is going to turn against us, and it's going to be a freaking Marie Antoinette situation where they're going to like come in here and like cut all our heads off,
Yeah.
It's like, we can't do it. We can't justify paying for you guys to like live over there and essentially do nothing. They already think we do nothing over here. You know what I mean? Like, you can't live over there and also do nothing again. But, Harry and Meghan took it very personally, and maybe that has to do with discussions that they had before that all happened. I don't know, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It
doesn't look good, no.
Yeah.
So when they were cut off financially, they moved to Southern California. That was it. They had nowhere. Tyler Perry, who's a billionaire and media mogul, has built his own studio.
Yeah.
He said, you can have my home.
Yeah.
And my security,
You can stay here until you find a home.
You can stay here till you get on your feet.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry we're laughing, but can you like, I mean, it's terrible for them.
I mean, it's terrible. Yeah.
Can you imagine all the families across the world who have lost jobs, who are just hanging on by a freaking thread because of this pandemic? Listening to this crap. You know what I mean? Him complaining, I only had what my mother left me to fall back on. I know,
which was like 15 million quid. Apparently, that was a trust fund of like 15 million that Diana left in her will.
I know I sound like Piers Morgan. I know I'm going to piss people off, but really, really, realistically, think about this, right? There are people who, they're living several generations to a house because they can't afford to live on their own. They've lost jobs. They're only able to stay in their houses that they're in right now because of this moratorium on evictions because of the pandemic. And they're sitting at home watching this interview about these 2 million multimillionaires complaining that, oh, we were mistreated and we had nowhere to live because my daddy cut me off.
Yes, it's the timing is insensitive.
It's very cringeworthy.
I mean, this is not really the time to be doing an interview to repair your reputation because there's been lies spread about you or whatever.
And I'm not.
And I mean, it's
I'm not at all excusing the way they were treated.
I'm not. No, there's no excuse for the way Meghan was apparently treated.
Yeah, because that was disgusting. But they need to have some common sense, for God's sake,
Yeah, there's like read a room and self-awareness coming in here. I mean, 99% of people don't have those problems.
Right.
Like, oh, my family cut me off, and
they wouldn't pay for my security.
I had to get Tyler. I had to call my mate Tyler Perry, beg him to stay at his house or whatever. They did that. I don't know if that happened. I think Tyler Perry did it out of the goodness of his heart, because sympathy. We have sympathy for them.
Yes.
As people.
Yeah.
But their situation was like, you had that money, you could have easily just bought a place. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I get you wanted to leave the UK because it's a toxic environment with the press and everything like that. and Meghan didn't like Marmite or whatever, you know. It's just like,
don't start that rumor, for God's sake.
And I mean, that was in the cutscenes. He's just like, I fucking hate Marmite. Just let me get that out there, Oprah.
And tea.
And
Why
tea.
are you people obsessed with tea?
Drinking tea. And what's with the 2 taps? The 2 taps. I was like, oh, scalding myself.
And I went to the kitchen in the royal palace, and the freaking washer was there in the kitchen. They didn't even have a separate laundry room. What kind of heathens are these people?
Exactly. You see, this is the kind of problems that you don't want us talking to Oprah about, you know, in the middle of a pandemic.
Oh my gosh.
But yes, I mean, they moved that, you know, and it's like Harry acknowledged that. He says, without the bit that he says, I've got what my mum left me, and without that, we wouldn't be able to do this, you know, we wouldn't be able to do all this. We wouldn't have this house and it's like, you know, fair dues, they're doing it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's it now. It's you know, it's finished. You're kind of out of the royal family.
Yeah.
Go be Harry and Meghan.
Yeah.
The next reality stars or whatever you're going to be, you know.
I mean, I guess maybe that's what they're doing with this interview. I'm not really sure what the purpose of this interview was.
Netflix
if
and
their biggest problem
Spotify and all that kind of like, you know, podcasts and deals and stuff. It's kind of like, what are they going to be? You know, what's the Netflix thing going to be? I mean, can they write anything? Is it going to be documentaries? Is it going to be following Harry round the slums of wherever?
I think maybe they've talked about it. I can't remember. I think maybe they mentioned slightly what it was going to be about in this interview. That was hardly the thing you focused on in this interview.
Yes, no, it's like, you know, this was basically just a piece to say, yeah, the royal family, you know, they're terrible.
They're crap. Yeah, they're terrible.
Yeah.
And it's just is that news to the British public?
Is that news to the British public? Is that news to even really the American public?
Yeah.
You know, the layperson who knew a little bit about the royal family is like, oh, it must be awful to be one of them.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know...
And that's one of the things he said, I was trapped.
Touching on a podcast that we're going to record for next week. That's one of the things that patriotic Americans always bring up, isn't it? You know, we sent your royal family packing. We didn't want any royal family around these here parts.
There you go. There's a documentary. Harry goes around saying, "Is my family wanted back in America?" You know. So how would you feel about us taking over again?
God.
Because, you know, it's like some people might spin it that way over here. You know, the US might get terrible to live after a while because of the press.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They might start going, oh, is Harry expecting to live off taxes again? We got rid of you, George III. We got rid of your 12 times great-grandfather.
To be fair to Oprah, she said to them, so what? You moved to America to escape the British press because the press is everywhere.
The press is everywhere, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not going to happen. So it's like, what exactly is your complaint? You know, and then, you know, it's just like, oh, we were mistreated. It's like, that's a valid complaint. They probably were because it's the royal family.
Yeah.
Apparently a lot of them are, you know?
Yeah. I don't know why they weren't paid for the interview. I would have wanted to be paid. I would have been like, you know what? I'm going to give you so much information. We only have this $15 million to live on. I'm going to need some more.
This next point was worth a few million alone.
Okay.
And
let's have it.
It was the discussions about how dark Meghan's baby is going to be.
Oh, God. This one.
This one... You know, she was talking, she led into it and she looked really uncomfortable when she was saying it. And it just made Oprah stop in her tracks like, what?
Yeah.
And she goes, it was said to Harry, not me. But Harry told me about it. And it was discussions with a member of the royal family who has not yet, as of yet, been named. As far as we know. I mean, this is going out on Thursday, so it's like... we're recording this a couple days before it goes out, so if they've been named, then you know who it is. We don't as of yet. So it's like, apparently they had a conversation about how they were concerned about how dark his skin tone is going to be, which is terrible, absolutely disgusting.
It's like, what?
It's like,
what does it matter?
What does it matter?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what the hell does it matter?
Yeah.
You know?
What difference is it going to make?
It doesn't matter.
Whatsoever?
It just doesn't matter. And it just doesn't matter anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go on a rant about it. About people getting wound up. The racist people across the world. It's like, channel that energy that you have into something good.
Yes. Something worthwhile.
Something that matters.
Yes.
Because that person that you're angry at for being a different color than you is the same as you. Mm-hmm. Just to clarify, Oprah came out and said, I asked again off camera and he wouldn't tell me, because Harry came on and said, absolutely not, I'm not sharing who that was.
This is important to say.
Yeah, Harry said, I'm because she asked Harry then, who was it that said that to you?
Yeah.
And he says, absolutely not, I'm not sharing that conversation, I'm never going to reveal who that was. Mm-hmm. But I want to clarify it was neither the Queen nor the Duke of Edinburgh, because everybody would go straight to, oh, it was Phil. You know, old Phil the racist, you know? It was definitely him.
Well, for anybody listening who doesn't know, Prince Philip, the Queen's husband, the Duke of Edinburgh, is known for having made racist comments in the past.
He's made several of them. Yeah.
And also,
and I mean, he's almost a century old at this point, and it's like, yeah.
I mean, that doesn't excuse
it. Doesn't excuse it, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like people going straight to, oh, it was Phil. It's like, at this point, I don't think he knows what's going on.
And let's be realistic here, people, because though Harry may be coming from a different place at this point in his life, I remember, and you probably do too, several years ago, seeing him dressed up at a fancy dress party. I don't know whether it was Halloween, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the tabloids had a field day with that
as
one.
Hitler. He was in full Nazi regalia.
I don't know if he was Hitler, but he had a swastika armband on.
I thought he had the mustache there.
Yeah, and it was I can't remember what it was, but yeah, that whole thing.
He was in full Nazi uniform with the swastika armband on. I don't know what. I'm assuming it was a joke.
I think it was obviously a joke. I don't think Meghan would have married him if he'd been like that, you know.
You know, obviously she didn't research them. You know what I mean? Because it's like...
Well, that's what I mean. Maybe Harry said to her, he says, oh, if you research me, there's going to be a photo. And just ignore it, you know?
So for that reason, and I am not excusing it, as Dominic said, it's disgusting. It doesn't matter what the baby's skin color is going to be. It makes no difference to anything whatsoever. But does it surprise us that there may be racism in the royal family?
No.
You know, no. It doesn't surprise us.
It doesn't surprise us, and I mean...
And it shouldn't surprise her if she knew anything about them or their history, or people on Twitter were saying, oh, wow, the country that's known for colonization... It has racists, you know, like, wow.
People doing white supremacy are doing racism, are racist.
Yeah. Oh, wow, the white supremacists
and
are doing racism. And it's
important to note here as well that, not everyone in Britain holds the royal family up to this high standard as they once used to.
Right.
I mean, during the war, I think during the war was the last time... really, that the nation was like almost one in its support of the royal family. Since then, it's the republicanism has come up, and after this, certainly it will. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be calls for there already is calls for abolish the monarchy, and but yeah, it's important to say, it's like saying, not everyone is the same as them. It's like I mean, it's a thing they had in common. This is gonna, again, probably piss some people off, but it's a thing that they had in common with the Nazi Party, isn't it, in a way? That they are very concerned with keeping their bloodline pure. That's like... yes. And I'm not sure how the actual family feel about that, but I'm sure there's some... people working for them that are like that.
Oh, yes. I'm sure there are.
Definitely.
I mean, maybe not so much now, but especially in the olden days. You know what I mean? Like, that's where the whole inbreeding kind of thing comes from. That they didn't want to have outside blood. They wanted to keep, they wanted everybody to have the
Queen Victoria and all
blood?
that kind of stuff. Called? Blue blood. Yeah. Blue blood lineage, yeah. It's, that's why Queen Victoria was known as the grandmother of Europe. That is probably why, because, they were talking about this somewhere. But, all these European countries, Spain and Norway and Denmark and the Netherlands, they all have royal families, but all we ever talk about is the British one. And it's like, well, that could be just because they're the ones that attract the most press attention. And also because they speak English.
Yeah.
Is another reason.
Oh, really quickly before, I know we're so running out of time, but who do we think it is, by the way?
Who do we think
it is that said that? Shall we say or no?
Yeah, well, yeah, we may as well.
I think we probably are thinking either
William or Charles.
Or Kate, possibly.
I think. People are speculating, and the thing is, what people said, no, you should have said that. You shouldn't have said that and then gone, who could it be, you know?
Yeah.
Because you've just left it hanging for everyone to smear the whole royal family now.
Yeah.
When it, it's like, oh, it was Andrew, that damn Andrew,
Well, the way she said, it could be very damaging to the person, and then the way Harry said...
Of course it'd be bloody damaging to the person.
And the way Harry said that he was shocked and that it was awkward.
Shocked and it was awkward, and it's just kind
of like...
I would
think that he wouldn't...
Maybe it was Charles. Maybe it was William.
I would think that he wouldn't have been that shocked to have heard Charles say it, because Charles is from a slightly older generation. Prince Philip is his father. It doesn't excuse it, no. But you also have to take into consideration who people are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? When you're thinking about things that they've said or done, you have to take that into consideration. I just think that he would have been more shocked to hear his own brother, who he felt like on the same level with, say something like that. And if it was William, then that makes me really sad. It makes me really, really sad.
Yeah, because it's going to really... they need to come out again and clarify, okay, it wasn't this person, it wasn't that person. And I feel, right, that Harry may have been a bit blindsided by Meghan on this. Because...
You felt like maybe there might have been a discussion of, okay, we're not gonna say that, right? Or...
No. That, that he didn't think she would bring it up, because I think she brought it up without Oprah saying, oh, is anyone in the royal family racist? Oh, well, now that you mention it, there was, there was one person who said to Harry, I can't remember. No, it was about the security, and then she goes, and those months I was pregnant, she just kind of came out of it with nowhere, correct me if I'm wrong, that she, she just kind of offered up this information.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling when, and this was before Harry joined the interview, I have a feeling Harry was like, why did you say that? It's like, I told you that. And it's just kind of like, why did you say that? It's just like, well, I've got to go out there now and say, oh, well, yeah, I was shocked. And, because you can't go there. It's like, oh, and who was it? It's like, don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about, Meghan? Who said this?
Obviously, though. And that, again, that tells me, yeah. Yeah, just throw her under the bus.
I don't know who this woman is. Excuse me.
How did I get here?
How did I get here? Where am I? Wanda?
No, obviously, though, it happened enough times that it pissed him off. It wasn't just a one-off
it wasn't just a one-off thing. It was just kind of like,
let's say it was you and I, and my sibling had said something like that in a one-off conversation. I would have probably not said anything to you just to protect your feelings, you being pregnant.
All these conversations, it's interesting to note, happened when Meghan wasn't there.
Yeah, yes.
These conversations happened with Harry.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, it was someone who felt comfortable enough with Harry to go, I'll drop the old racial slur here and there.
Yeah.
And Harry felt awkward by it, and just like, and it's, of course, people are going, it's Charles or it's William or it's Kate, and it's kind of like, well, maybe it was someone completely different, but because he said I've clarified when you get the opportunity to say it, it was not the Queen or the Duke of Edinburgh.
It was not my grandparents.
It was not my grandparents. It wasn't them.
Yeah. That's very hardcore.
It's hardcore. I mean, you know, it could be damaging to them. You know, it could have been Fergie for all we know.
They were saying though, that particularly is going to be damaging to the entire royal family because of the way it was presented.
Yeah.
And possibly Britain, just because you guys still have, I say you guys like I'm not married to you, because Britain still has, you know, Nigeria and
the Commonwealth, yeah.
Yeah, still has the Commonwealth.
I mean, the Commonwealth it's a loose alliance of nations. It's not as if they've got the Queen as the head of state, but it's more like it's not like Britain owns them. You know, they're independent and everything. They're free to leave the Commonwealth. If they want to,
but they might now because
of
this.
Yes,
you know,
I mean, this is a full-blown diplomatic incident, really.
Yeah, which
the royal family are there to smooth over.
I mean,
the Queen is probably just like, I thought I was gonna have it easy for the rest of my days.
Oh my God, poor thing.
You know,
poor thing. You know, but at the same time, it's of their own making, isn't it? You know,
it's of their own making.
It's like this didn't happen to them; they created it. You know, so it's just like, you know. Really quickly, we're gonna have to zip through.
We're gonna zip through these ones. But. The couple's, as we said, the couple's relationship with the Queen is good. Harry said he has a really good relationship with his grandmother, and he's spoken to her more in the last year, including video calls with Archie, than he has for many years.
I think that's so cute.
Yeah, so she's my Colonel-in-Chief, right? She's always will be, he said.
Yeah.
And Meghan also praised the Queen and said she gave her some beautiful jewellery for the couple's first joint engagement. And they shared a blanket, you know. She was like, "Oh, come on, Meghan, get under here."
Yeah,
she
said she always treated
I remember
her really
that.
nice.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird.
And the whole, you know, they came out. We thought the biggest piece of news for the royal watchers, Meghan's pregnant, and it's a girl, and it's like, yeah, we don't really care about that right now.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, that completely and utterly overshadowed. It's been overshadowed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, we did this exclusive Oprah interview to reveal the gender.
It made me,
and it's like, nah, you revealed a few more tidbits.
That part made me feel really sad for Harry, particularly because he looked like you know, because she's like, oh, Oprah's like, it's a girl, yeah, you know, and Harry's just kind of like, yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? We've probably just destroyed my family's reputation in the process of this.
And he looked like he just felt sick, but he was trying to go, yeah, we're really excited, we can't wait, you know, yay. And it's just like, oh, I felt really just...
I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, it's amazing. What more can you ask for, he said. And, you know, apparently they're going to be done after this one. So, some happy news there.
There's going to be something else. Don't bring any more children into this family, for God's sake.
Towards the end of the interview, Oprah asked if Meghan had got a happy ending with Prince Harry after all. Greater than any fairy tale you've ever read, she said. The end. Night-night, Piers.
And I think that might have been a problem. She saw this whole thing like one of her Hallmark movies that she starred in. She thought it was going to be like
a Hallmark film, kind of like a crossover between a Lifetime and a Hallmark film.
Well, she thought it was going to be like a Hallmark
death threats,
happily ever after,
racists,
and then it ended up being like a Lifetime film instead of a Hallmark movie. Yeah. I thought it was really weird that there was like, you know, these little insertion clips where they're like feeding animals and just kind of walking around and stuff.
The chicken, yeah.
Where she said, we got the call that the Duke of Edinburgh had been sent to hospital, and, you know, and I just wanted to pick up the phone and call the Queen. Or no, didn't she say I picked up the phone to call the Queen?
And
I didn't even have to think. Is this inappropriate? Is this you know, because that's what you do with your family. And I'm just like, do you? Well, no, you have to go through
12 layers of people.
It's like
you call the Queen's.
It's like she still doesn't get that she did not marry into a normal family. You know, they're not a normal family, no matter how much she wishes that they were. They're never going to be.
No, they're never going to be. And the thing is, with that, there's been barriers and barriers of protection and everything. You know, she'd have to call up and get the palace. And it's like, as they were watching The Crown, you know, they were, have you watched The Crown? That was one of the things. And it was just like, oh, we've seen some of it. Yeah. Harry says, it's like, yeah, Meghan's seen all of it.
Yeah. Because, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because either The Crown has got it really, really, really right, you know, or Meghan has, like you just said, seen all of it, and she's used it to, I don't know how
color her place in the history of the family.
Something like that, yeah.
You know.
You know what I mean? Because her story sounded very much like I was watching The Crown. Like I was watching, particularly this last season of Diana's story. It just felt like I was watching that. So, you know, I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying that it definitely felt like that. So in my mind, then The Crown is very, very accurate according to the way Meghan's described life in the palace for someone who marries into the family. Yeah. Seems just like what we just saw in the last season of The Crown, really. Like, I mean, you know,
I think it was Peter Morgan who said, the show's creator says, oh, we're not going to go up to Harry and Meghan. It's like, because they're doing that for us. You know, I mean, you know, it's like, this is the kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, well, much like when the interview was finished, I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted too. I mean, I'm going to go.
We hope we didn't offend too many of you listening.
Have we lost any? Have you lost you?
And if we did, let us know. Definitely let us know you guys' opinions if you watched the interview. Just give us your honest opinions. You know, there's no judgment here. Because, and you know, opinions are just that.
Opinions are just that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. We really appreciate your support. We'd like to invite you to follow us on social media as well. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TButty, TEABUTTY. Be sure to follow us over there, and we'll talk to you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.